I get asked the question a lot. Hey, what advice do you give to NFL rookies? And look, I was a very mediocre athlete that managed to play 10 years in the NFL. I had a lot of tricks along the way that I picked up. I've got about 100 plus written down in various places about tips I'd give to rookies. So I want to take 5 kind of skewed more towards a rookie who just got drafted or signed as an undrafted free agent and who's getting ready for his first training camp. 5 salient pieces of advice, and I'm leaning on Tom Brady and Kobe Bryant and Will Anderson and a couple other people here. We'll start off with Tom Brady talking on the Impulsive podcast about what he texted to Shedeur Sanders on draft weekend.
Oh, and I said, dude, like whatever happens, wherever you go, like that's your first day. Day 2 matters more than the draft. I was 199.
Yeah.
So who could speak on it better than me? Like what that really means. Use it as motivation. You're going to get your chances. Go take advantage of it. So,
yeah. And look, it's partly true. Look, if you're drafted in the first 3 rounds and you get cut your rookie year, I can't help you because you done screwed up big time. You're a jackass of some variety. If you're undrafted, if you're a mid or late round pick, your draft position genuinely doesn't matter if you show up. If you show up and make plays in camp, if you show upside, if you listen and pay attention and take notes and you show up in practice and in the preseason games, they're going to figure out a way to put you on that team. And if you don't make it on this team, you're going to make it on some team somewhere else because they'll have seen you either in a joint practice or in a preseason game or whatever else it is. So the part that Tom Brady said about using it as motivation, 100%. If you're not a high draft pick, take dead aim on the rich kids, to quote Bill Murray and Rushmore. Yeah, those guys got drafted ahead of you. You're better than them. And there's nothing stopping you from showing that other than yourself. So you should never go into camp feeling like, the coaches are out to get me or the coaches don't like me. You 100% can control whether or not you get noticed, but it starts with showing up in practice and making plays. Dave Thomas, when I was a rookie, Dave Thomas was a gigantic cornerback. He's like 6'4" or something. His locker was next to mine. He used to tell me every day during training camp, hey, be sure you show up today, man. Be sure you show up. And it's as simple as that. That's simple and dumb advice. But yeah, show up. Figure out a way to show up, whether you're an undrafted rookie free agent or not. And part of that is that the first impressions really do matter. Whether you're a second-round pick, Texans don't have a first-round pick this year, or an undrafted rookie free agent, showing up to camp in shape is important because if you fail your conditioning test or you're puking on day 1, first impressions really, really matter. If you're not a draft pick, or if you're a late round draft pick, especially, the first impression isn't going to be a great one. But 2, and more importantly, it's really hard to play well day in and day out during training camp if you're not in really good shape. The one veteran advice that I wish I had known earlier in my career that I figured out as I went along was if you're a lineman, if you're an offensive or a defensive lineman especially, but also if you're any one of the more physical positions like linebacker, the running drills that might be assigned to you and whatever the conditioning test is, that stuff doesn't get you in football shape. Work on the sled, work with bags, do drills with no pads, pass rush drills versus your buddies or whoever's available to you. Like, to get in genuine football shape, you gotta have resistance followed by running. So what I would do is I would go through basically whatever our practice is. So if you're a rookie, you're going through mini camp practices, get a feel for what the drills are, the individual drills, if you do pursuit drill especially, and then I would run them at double time for that last month when you got all this free time, and you show up in actual football shape instead of running shape. Like sometimes I don't know what the Texans do, but they don't always have a whole lot of avenue for actually getting football type activities. So showing up in shape is huge, and then show up on the field every day. And the other part of it is, and this is boring advice, but it's another thing that I learned how vital it was the longer and longer I was in the NFL. Just flat out know your playbook. And what works for a lot of us, like us simple-minded defensive lineman types especially, is we don't like sitting around for 45 minutes studying a book. I had a little set of agility cones that I carried with me in my backpack, and in the hotel room or when I had spare time during the day, I would put out an offensive line and a tight end or whatever the formation was, and I'd go through the playbook and just actually do my own little personal walkthrough. Whatever the blitzes were, go through it, call it out, do it, adjust to different formations and everything. Because first and foremost, if you want to get noticed as a rookie and if you want to be a guy that gets play time, coaches have to trust that you're not going to screw it up, that you're not going to be a liability out there by being in the wrong position. And if you know your playbook and if you're not making mental errors in practice, they notice that. The absence of mental errors is very much noticed by coaches. Next one, and this goes into a little bit what I already talked about, but Kobe Bryant gives you a couple pieces of advice here. This is Kobe Bryant talking to, I think, the USC Business School or something. This was Kobe Bryant, who was drafted when he was 17 years old, remember. His parents had to sign his contract for him because he was so young. This is him on his mentality and what it was as a 17-year-old rookie.
Like, I always had that extra chip on my shoulder. So, like, every day in practice for me was really trying to annihilate everybody that I was playing against. And so it's always that competitive nature, the work ethic, and curiosity, because I asked a lot of questions.
Yeah, ask a lot of questions. Stay curious. You'll hear that from Kobe Bryant, Larry Bird, Tom Brady, any of those guys. Just stay curious. This is something that will help you throughout your entire career, but especially when you're a rookie, it's okay to be dumb. It's okay. Know your playbook, but it's okay to be otherwise dumb and admit and understand that there's a lot of things about football that you don't know, and you've got all these veterans around you that have the answers to the test, and they function in a way that you just they know the answers to questions you don't even know to ask yet. The other part of it too is that as you go along in your career, it's going to benefit you personally to stay curious, and whatever career you do after football, stay curious, always be learning. But you want to it helps you develop skills on top of skills on top of skills. There's always something you can get better at. And as soon as you adopt that attitude from day one, that every day you want to learn something, especially learn something from guys on the other side of the ball. If you're a rookie defensive lineman, there's a veteran offensive lineman that wants some extra work after practice or something, be the guy that's there and will work against him and help him drill whatever he's drilling on, but pick his brain at the same time. Another thing that I didn't learn until midway through my career was just how valuable it was for me to just sit around and watch the offensive linemen get coached. And I remember once we had joint practices with the Broncos, and this was back when they were running the ball like crazy all over the place. And I just watched Alex Gibbs Sr. work with the offensive linemen, and I learned a whole lot about how they were trying to block me that I had never known before. And D'Amico is famous for doing this as a rookie, talking to the offensive players, talking to the quarterbacks, asking them, hey, exactly what are you thinking when you see this? We see this with D'Amico now as a coach. He really encourages this amongst the players. So talk to the guys on the other side of the ball as well as the veterans that are there with you. Watching film with a veteran, that's huge. And in the preseason, there's not as much film watching going on because you don't usually game plan for your opponent during the preseason games. But some veterans will still want to go in, and they don't want to go in blind to an opponent. So they're going to go in and watch the opponent. Whenever you see a veteran watching film, sit in there, be annoying with the questions. They ask so many questions that they might get right up to the edge of them being annoyed with you, and then shut up for a little bit, and they'll start doling out information. And the coaches are smart, but the veterans are looking at it through different eyes. And a lot of times the veteran players are seeing things that the coaches aren't necessarily concerned about, or they just don't have the time to pick up. And you just, and it's a cheat code. As a defensive lineman, for instance, you start to realize by guys' stances and formation that there are plays out there for the taking. Like you can be that guy that knows what play is coming. You just need time watching and film with a veteran, which leads us to the third word of advice, which is something I got by way of Will Anderson when he was being interviewed by J.J. Watt. Ever heard of him? On CBS last year. And they're talking about, he's talking about Danielle Hunter here.
Chops wood every day. Like, he goes to work. Like, he's never, like, comfortable, like, off to the side, like, pulling us, hey, let's work our hands. Let's do this. Let's do that. And I think that's what makes him such a great player.
Yeah, and look, the Texans have done a great job with this. They've got veteran players at every level of the offense and defense that are there to be a resource for the younger guys. And even if they're not natural teachers or what have you, you want guys like Will Anderson, who are young and impressionable, to see the way it's done and the guys who operate at the highest level. And one thing you'll notice about veteran linemen who are really, really good technicians is you can only practice so much football versus other human beings because there's an injury risk element there. great defensive linemen are working against air, working against buddies, doing hand drills all the time. John Randall, Hall of Fame offensive lineman, was famous for walking through the mall and hitting pass rushes on people. And he was gifted. He could hit a spin move like nobody else. He's Tasmanian devil out there, but he worked at it constantly, taking mental reps when the other guys are on the team. Like, these veteran guys are so important to have on a team, and the Texans have a bunch of them, especially along the defensive line. They've got at least 3 guys that are 30 years old or older right now. But we're human beings. We learn by imitation. We learn to talk by imitation. We learn to walk by imitation. Both of those things are far more difficult than playing in the NFL. If you think about the complexity that goes into learning how to speak a language, you learn that by imitation. And J.J. Watt, his rookie year, what did he do? People said, hey, look at what D'Amico does and do what he does. So J.J. Watt bought a house in D'Amico Ryan's neighborhood because he's going to imitate D'Amico Ryan's as much as possible. The coaches will tell you who to imitate. There's a couple veterans on every team that should not be imitated. So listen to whoever the coaches tell you to imitate, and then follow that guy around and try to do everything he's doing. Danielle Hunter's a good bet, that type of guy. This is Tom Brady to CJ Stroud. CJ Stroud asked him a question. I think it was on the Let's Go podcast, which is Tom Brady's podcast.
You started playing well. What was the process of your mentality? Like, how did you stay on the straight and narrow? Even like, you have people reaching out and family and like just the world around you seems like it's spinning and you're just trying to stay focused and stay on the straight and narrow.
I think the important thing I really want you to realize, this is now your job. Everyone, when they come to the game, it's a vacation. It's fun for them. Oh my God, we're here to watch, CJ play. Hey, I know there's a really busy time for you, but let's go do something fun. Or, you don't need to be the source of people's entertainment over the course of the season. It's not college anymore.
Yeah, you don't need to be the source of people's entertainment during the season. Now, that's geared more towards the season, but right now, especially if you're a higher draft pick and you got a whole bunch of guaranteed money, fully guaranteed in the case of Jaden Higgins, your best asset in a lot of ways in terms of managing your life off the field is that you have to learn how to say no, and you have to learn how to set limits, because there will be an unlimited number of people who think that it's no big deal for you to give them either a little bit of time or a little bit of money. You could go, the number of people who think that it's no big deal for you to loan them $50,000 right now would bankrupt you in 3 minutes if you said yes to all of them. So you got to learn how to say no to certain requests. But even when it comes to your time, well-meaning relatives and whatever else might be, like, it's a big deal for them to come watch an NFL game or a preseason game or to come to a practice. You got to set the limits ahead of time. It's like, okay, hey, cool. We got to hang out for a couple hours, but then I got to get back because I've got a meeting or I've got film to watch, or I have to get to bed on time. Strict bedtime. The earlier in your career that you can establish to people who are visiting you that, hey, I am boring AF after 10 p.m., that set it now, because it gets harder once people get ingrained in their habits. And if somebody tries to tell you, they're like, hey, what about that? Nah, they're selfish. It's a numero uno when it comes to football season. You got to take care of you, and then you can take care of all of them. But not these cousins that are showing up out of anywhere, or not in the business plans. Okay, it's just they don't listen. Your cousin who's never held a job for more than 3 weeks at a time, the thing that's going to put him over in his life is not you investing in his business. My God, just say no. Just say no, damn it. You're helping them more if you say no. This is Emmanuel Sanders. This will be the last one I do today. Like I said, I've got at least 95 more of these. This is key. Giving you a lot of stuff to get stressed out about here as I advise you on how to manage your first training camp. This is Emmanuel Sanders. I think at the time he was talking about the week before a playoff game, but the advice stands.
Just keep everything light, right? Just keep it light, have fun. I'm big on, this is football is a game. When I was in high school, it was no cameras. I got to college, it was 1 to 2. Now NFL, it was like 7 to 8, 9, 10, 11. Go to Super Bowl, it's like 100 of them. But at the end of the day, it's just a game that we're playing, so you got to have fun in doing it, but you also got to work your butt off. And so I'm big on that and keeping it light, but having fun as well.
Yeah, you gotta learn how to move beyond it. Defensive backs tend to be really good at this naturally, but for kids like CJ Stroud or guys like that who take it ultra serious, there is a balance you have to find in just wiping the slate clean and forgetting about your mistakes. And if you're a rookie and your coach is dog cussing you, which isn't really much of an issue on the Texans, D'Amico doesn't really like his players getting dog cussed by the assistants. But say you find yourself somewhere else, that you got to be able to move on from it. And my old special teams coach, Frank Gant Sr., used to have a mantra, which is, what's the most important play? The next play. And that's it. What's the score? I don't care. How many people are watching? Doesn't matter. The most important thing in your life is the very next play, and have fun and just recognize that, okay, I might have botched the last 7 plays, but I'm here. I'm playing football in the National Football League. I'm going to have some fun with this and try to maintain that balance between, just the right amount of sphincter tightness. Somebody had a comment here that I thought was relevant, but I'll tell you, we were talking about the playbook, and I think Brandon said something about how it's a brand new playbook. Okay, here you go. Tricky one this time is that it's a new playbook for the whole team. Yeah, and that's, again, where the veterans, the guys that really know and understand, no matter how smart you are, no matter what your Wonderlic score is, it takes reps. And when you're learning a new defense or a new offense, no matter how many years you have in the league, what you'll see is a lot of the veteran guys are the guys that they're new to a team, and they'll sit down for 8 hours in one of the meeting rooms and they'll go over the playbook. And a lot of times they'll walk out to the field and know it better than a lot of the guys who have been on the team for a year or two, especially the young guys. And again, I don't mean to bring myself into this, but it's just from my personal experience. What would have been my 11th year in the NFL is my final training camp. I got signed midway through training camp, and I got there and I sat down the first day I was there and just learned everything. And I did my little walkthrough thing and everything. And I remember the next day after practice, I asked some of the rookies if they wanted to stick around and go through the plays mentally for them. And they were all kind of like wide-eyed and blown away that I knew everything already. And I told them, I was like, you guys, I've had like 40 concussions by this point. You guys are plenty smart to know this already. You need to know it now. Like, know it by tomorrow morning, because you're going to get into a preseason game and you're going to barely hear what the rookie linebacker calls in the huddle, and you're going to have to figure this stuff out. So just know it now, and it doesn't have to be complicated. What did I say? Whoa, Seth. Sphincter tightness. That's all. Just how tight is your butthole? My coach used to say, don't be sorry, be better. And great content, real football perspective. Thank you, everybody. I'm going to cut it off here so we don't go too long. But please like, subscribe, and all that other stuff. I'll probably see you tomorrow.